Good morning. My name is Karen Kong, and I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. And welcome to my This or That Thursday. So this week there was actually no alternate choice. I promised last week that I was going to make a different version of the fun fold that I posted last week. So here's the fun fold that I posted last week. I didn't finish the alternative yet. I'm still working. I'll show you what I've got done at the end. Again, I don't know. It's just been such a crazy week. It's coming to the end of the school year. We've got all sorts of things going on, and it just never seems to calm down around here. I don't know. Anyways, let me get started. I am just going to get my computer up and running so I can see your comments when we are crafting live, okay? If you're joining in live, I would love it if you say hi, tell me where you're watching from, ask me questions, chat with me, because it's just not fun talking to myself. Good morning, Sandra. Thanks for joining me. Yeah, talking to myself is no fun, so please do chat with me while we craft. Okay, so I've got my computer up and running. Let me switch over to my desktop. So just close your eyes and give me a second while I remount the camera, okay? So I've laid everything out on my desk that I'm using today, but if you're watching for the first time, don't worry. I will put all of that information in the video description when it posts afterwards. Let me just straighten this out. I hope that makes it better. Oh, I think I made it worse. Just a second. It just bugs me when I look up at the screen and I can see that my desktop looks crooked. Okay, I think that looks better. All right, so this is a fun fold, like I said. It's a zigzag fun fold, and it's a team member of mine that introduced it to us for mystery stamping at our last team meeting, which was fantastic because I'd never seen this. And it leaves room for, like, it's a regular card attached to a zigzag. It leaves room for lots of writing inside, and I pulled out a retired set to use because it was kind of good to use a set that lets you follow along with the theme, so you can stamp sentiments that kind of follow one another, or images that follow one another. So I pulled out Nothing's Better Than, and I always have fun with this set. So it's not a hard card to make, and we should just get started. There's lots to do. I'm going to put this to the side and we'll make some room. So I usually just kind of give you a quick glance of what I'm using today. I pulled out the layering circles, and you can use whatever shape you like for this part. You could use other shapes if you like a diamond, or I'm not sure what else. Like, there are different circle shapes, like I forget what the latest one is called. It just slips my mind. Anyways, there are lots of other alternatives. You don't have to use a circle here. You can use something else. Okay? So, but I used the retired layering circles and Nothing's Better Than. And this is the 2024 to 2026 In Color Designer Series paper. And I'll show you some tricks that I use. So if you notice, I have, if you can see, there's like a little bit of pink behind the early Expresso coffee die cut. So I added a little pop of color there, and I did the same thing for the cookies and the chocolate, except here it's the Shamrock. Okay, so let's get started on making this. I'll get my ink pads out of the way, and we will cut the card base first. Okay, let me just get those out of the way, and let's get to my paper trimmer over. Okay, so for this card, I think what I'm going to do this time, instead of making this a full card, in order to make it a little less thick, because there's quite a few layers in this, yeah, Sandra, you're right. Like you could make so many different variations. And I mean, it was quite evident from what even just the four of us on our team made. There was so much variation in what you could do with this. So really the important part of this card is how to make the fun fold. And then you choose whatever paper is in your stash and your stamps to make whatever you like. Because you could decorate this in so many different ways. And I would like to add more stuff here and here and here, but I never got around to it yet. But once I have two of them, I'm sure that, you know, I'm going to be feeling like I want to finish them off. So, yeah, what I was saying was that there are a lot of layers because there is the zigzag, and this is a full regular card base, okay? I'm actually going to cut it this time so that I just adhere this zigzag piece to just a single layer of paper. So that will cut down on some of the weight, I think, in this card, so that you could actually just write on the back everything you want to say, your happy birthday or whatever it is, and take out a little bit of the weight. I don't know if this would be overweight in a standard letter mail. So that's just one variation, but you don't have to do that. It's totally up to you. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to cut is the zigzag card base. Okay, so I'm going to need a 4 1/4 by 11 piece. So that's half of a regular 8.5 by 11 sheet, just cut down the middle. Okay, so let's take that. So if you don't have a paper trimmer, the Stampin' Up's paper trimmer, I love having all the measurements along the top and all the guides that it has. So I measure 4 1/4 right on the paper trimmer. Then I'm going to score it at 4 1/4 and 8.5. So I'm going to need to move this out of the way because I can extend the arm to do the scoring. So 4 1/4, and I'll use the scoring blade for this. And then I'm going to pull this open, and I can measure all the way to 8.5 over here. Oh yeah, that's a good suggestion, Sandra. I'm just seeing Sandra's suggestion saying that she's going to use DSP instead of cardstock to make those circles for the matting and the decoration. Okay, so I've done my zigzag card base, and I am just going to adhere it to a 4 1/4 by 5.5 sheet piece of cardstock instead of the full card base this time. Okay, so let's pull this back in. Okay, so there is my zigzag card base. But now you're asking, how did I get this angle, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure... Oh, I didn't... did I write this down? This is real life crafting for you. Okay, so there is... Oh, I think it's 2.5 inches. I want to say 2.5 inches. Let me just measure how much is this. This is 1.5. I'm trying to compute. Oh, this is 1 3/4 actually. So 1 3/4. Yeah, so 2.5 inches down. Okay. All right. So I am going to take and put the paper this way. Okay. So the scoring here is the shortest section is on the right side. Okay. And I'm going to measure 2.5 inches down on the left side. Okay, and I'm going to mark that with a pencil. So 2.5. Oops. Okay, so 2.5 inches down. I'm going to take this. I'm going to line up that little score mark, the little pencil mark I made, and I'm going to line it up with the second score mark down here. Okay, so you can, I know it's probably hard to see, on the screen. And even I'm having trouble seeing the score mark here just because of the lighting, the way it is. Okay, so I've lined up the pencil mark there and the top of this score mark. Okay, this is the smallest section down here. And I'm going to cut that on an angle. Oops, and of course I moved it. Just a second. Okay, I'm just trying to get my fingers out of the way of the ruler. I don't know what it is with the lighting on my desk, but it's making it hard for me to see the score mark myself. Okay, I think I got it. So there we go. So I've just chopped off that section right there. Okay, so we have a whole bunch of DSP here, and I'm going to cut the mats. So there are two Petunia Pop mats here. Okay, let me just grab some DSP. Sorry, some cardstock. Okay, so this big one is 4 by 5 1/4. I'm just going to check how much I have here. Okay, I'm going to cut 4 inches this way. And then 5 1/4. So that's one. And then I'll need a smaller piece here, which will be 2 3/4 by 4. So let me just double check. So let's cut this way, 2 3/4 by 4. Okay. All right, and we need a whole pile of DSP. So this piece here, let me just get my DSP. So I think this piece is probably big enough. Let me just double check. This is the 3.75 by 2.5. Okay, 3.7 by 2.5. So let's measure out. Oh. 3 3/4 by 2.5. Okay. The other one is 3 3/4 by 5. So I made sure to use non-directional paper here. It makes it easier, but you can certainly work with directional paper. You just have to be careful with which way you cut it so that you have things looking in the right orientation when it gets glued on. Okay, so this is 3 3/4. So I turn that by 5. Okay, and I need 2 more pieces that are 4 by 4 each. So I have 2 pieces of the striped paper that I used. I'm just going to line them up and make it faster by cutting both of them at the same time, because I need 4 by 4. It's just too bad that I don't. I need to cut 2 sheets for this. 4. All right. Okay. So here comes another interesting part where you've got to cut the pieces on an angle. But let's fold this up first. Okay. So I'm going to fold this small section back. Actually, you know what? I think I had this backwards the first time too. Okay, it's actually folded in. It's a valley fold. And then this is a mountain fold. Okay, so here is the zigzag part, okay? And it's going to just mount directly onto your card base. This is just a single sheet this time instead of a full card base, but you can use a full card base if you like, and it's just going to mount directly there, okay? So let me do that first. I'll get some glue. And I do kind of recommend glue so that you have a little bit of play time to line up the edges on this properly. And don't put the glue too close to the edge so it doesn't squish out when you're mounting it. Okay, so we're just going to line up this corner with this corner exactly. Okay, exactly like that. All right, so that is your basic card. All right, what you're gonna do next is take this cardstock, the biggest solid piece, and you're gonna cover up that piece underneath, okay? It's just gonna go right on top. There we go. And it's going to hide this join between the zigzag and the back of your card, or the card base. Okay. I'm just lining things up while the glue is still fresh. All right. Okay, so then here comes the interesting part about how you're going to turn these rectangles into the angled pieces that you need. All right, where should we start? Actually, you know what? This is the other piece that does not need any cutting. So let's put this one down too. So I always kind of put it on a 45-degree angle while I line up the top, bottom, and side to try and get the right spacing and to get it to be straight before I let the paper come down and touch the back. So then I have a good chance of lining things up properly. Okay, so let's get to this part. All right, so you'll notice that, of course, that you've got an angle here, right? So I'm kind of centering my my Petunia Pop. Let me move this out of the way. Okay, so I'm putting my Petunia Pop down and kind of positioning it into the spot where it would be, okay? And I am going to just take my pencil and I'm just going to mark here how much, approximately where I need to be cutting to give a slight gap, all right, in the Petunia Pops from the edge of that angle, okay? So I've marked it. I'm going to turn it. And again, I'm going to put the pencil mark, and then I'm going to put the corner, the top corner, and line them up in the groove. Get my fingers out of the way, and then cut it. Let me show you that it worked. Okay, so that's all you have to do. It's really not hard. It doesn't need to be measured. You just kind of eyeball it and it looks good. So let's put that on. It's really not too hard. Usually there is another card design that I had trouble like measuring these angles, and I don't know what it was, but I just could not get them to be cut right. I don't know what I was doing wrong, but this one is pretty easy. You really don't, it's really not that hard. See? There we go. Okay, so let's do the inside of this one. This one is just DSP, okay? So the DSP is matted on the two layers that that are on the back and on the front. The middle ones don't have any matting, okay? So we're just gonna put it straight on, okay? And I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm just kind of lining it up, giving it the right space. And you know what? Actually, I tried this and it might be a little bit easier. So if you line up this top corner with the top of your angled cut here, okay? If you line up that corner and then you straighten everything out as best as you can, there's going to be that slight gap there. You can actually mark it right here where the top of that angle is. And I believe that also works. So let's see if that works. You've got two options. Okay, so I'm lining up my pencil mark and the top right corner. Okay, I'm gonna get my fingers out of the way. Let's see if that worked. Yes, that works too. So you have two options there, okay? It requires a little bit less eyeballing, I think, when you have to figure out where that point is. So you could use either way, whatever works for you. All right, so again, a little bit of a 45-degree angle there, and I'm lining everything up before I lay it down. Okay, so now we're going to do the same thing for the front here. Okay, so this time I'm going to line up this corner with the top of the Petunia Pop, okay? And making sure the gap on both sides is right and that the paper looks straight. And then I'm going to mark right here. Okay, right there where it meets the Petunia Pop. Okay. So we're lining up in the groove, the pencil mark and the top right corner. That looks like it's gonna work, yes. All right, and you might want to take a little eraser afterwards to just remove any signs of those little pencil marks that you made. There we go. Okay, and we just have one more to do. So this time it's just the reverse. So I'm going to line up the corner, top left corner, and straighten this out. looks good. I'll mark right here at the top of the cardstock. And this time I'm putting the top left corner into the groove with the pencil mark at the bottom. Okay, so that's going to sit right in there. Just get some glue. There we go. There. All right, that is like, you know, half of the battle is just getting this part done, and that's all there is to it, really. Now it's just all about decorating the card. So ideally, if you choose a different shape, you're going to be able to line it up so that one shape on the front will cover up the other two shapes on the back, okay? So I actually pre-cut my circles so that we would save a little bit of time. And this time I thought I would actually use Petunia Pop instead for the mat, because I thought it might make it stand out a bit more. I wasn't sure the first time how I wanted it to, if I wanted it to stand out or not. But this time I think I'm going to use the Petunia Pop, and we'll see how it goes. Okay, so we have to do some stamping now. Let's get some ink. I'm going to stamp Today's Plan Consume. Where's my stamp set? Let's see. Trying to find the right sentiment here. Here we go. All right, so I'm just going to put my sentiment down on the table, and I will pick it up with my block. Actually, I'll use a smaller one. And that's how you can make sure that your stamps are on as straight as they can be, because some of the longer, skinnier ones have a tendency to bend. And this is the way you can pick it up without having it bend, okay? So I'm going to put that in black. Right across the top, okay? Ooh, looks good. I'm just going to wipe this off on my chamois. I'll put that back in, and we are going to get out the coffee mugs, or they could be teacups. So I'm going to do the outline first, and then we'll color them in afterwards. So this is two-step stamping if you've never done it. So it takes 2 stamps to complete the image. So I'll put one. Actually, this one takes 3 because the little steam marks are separate. Okay, and a second one over here, and I'm just going to set that a little bit. Looks good. All right. Now, let's get those steam marks. I'll show you how I did it, because I made some of those steam marks slightly shorter. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take a piece of scrap paper. Let me just grab. Okay. So I've got a piece of scrap here, and it has a straight edge, and we're just going to cover up to that straight edge of the top of the coffee mug, because I didn't want it to go quite so high. So you see part of it is on the scrap, and that way I get a shorter steam mark, and we'll do the same thing over here. There. And we're going to add some color now. So this is actually Shamrock from the In Color from 2024 to 2026. I didn't get that ink color, but I did discover that a very close ink color to that is Just Jade. So I'm going to use Just Jade to stamp that. I think it looks almost, you know, it's in the same color family for sure, right? It's just a bit darker. I might stamp off. Let's see how it looks when it's stamped off first, because I think it was a little bit dark. Oops. Actually, I'm going to use a smaller one. There we go. Whoop. It really wants to stay. All right. I need some scrap paper. Here we go. And my Just Jade is here, so you can see it's very close. Let's move that off to the side. Okay, so let's ink that up. Let's see how it looks when it's stamped once. Is pretty dark. Twice is almost, see this, it's almost too light, I think. Well, I'm just catching up to Sandra's comment. That should have also, oh yes, they should have made a die cut for tea as well as coffee. Yeah, that would have made sense, because there are lots of tea drinkers out there, and these could be teacups. Yeah, I don't know. I think the second one is too light. I think I'm going to go with just stamping it directly. I think there was just a little piece of lint or something on my stamp. Okay. All right, let's try this again. I'm going to ink this up, and then we'll stamp right on the... I'm looking at my image, my stamp surface, to see if it's even, and I can see there's some parts that are slightly darker. And you know what? Look at this. I think it's because my ink pad is very juicy. So if you were watching last week, I did this last week. I've done it before. If it's very juicy and it's making some images come out blotchy looking, I like to just take a straight edge. This is just an old credit card, so don't think you can get any charges on here anymore. Anyways, it's an old credit card, just some kind of straight edge, and just kind of brush the ink to one side. Okay? And that way you won't get so much excess ink on your stamp. So let's see how that works. So I'm inking up on the side that I brushed away. Okay, I'm still seeing this is... You see, I don't know why that one section is picking up more ink. Okay, let's try that. Oh, you know what? I just realized it just ripped the paper and there is paper sticking to it. Maybe that's the problem. Okay, let me clean it off. I have never had that happen before. And of course it's going to happen live because this is reality stamping. All right, I'm just making sure that all the little pieces of white paper are gone. We're not going to need this anyways because I'm going to stamp right on it. But you know what I'm going to do, just to make sure and try and make sure that it is inking up properly. This is another trick. I'm going to use my Versamark. Okay, so Versamark first and then the ink color. Okay, so let's ink this up with Versamark. And then right on top of that, you're going to put your ink color. Okay. Okay, that looks way better. All right, just make sure that you clean off your stamp before you stamp in the Versamark again, or you'll end up with colors on your Versamark pad. Okay, so I'm going to do this again. Okay. And this time I'm going to stamp right here. I'm trying not to get my head in the way of the camera, but I want to see that this is on top of my teacup or coffee cup. Okay, not bad. Let's do the same with just with the Petunia Pop. Oh yes, Sandra is right. If the paper quality will affect the distribution of the ink on the paper too. I was just using regular copy paper for my scrap, so that could definitely play a factor. So, all right, let's try this again. I'm just going to see if I need to use the Versamark. I think that looks pretty good. I think this is also quite juicy too. Let's see if that helps a bit. Okay. Hope I'm not getting my head in the way. I'm just trying to see that this lines up. Not bad. Not bad at all. Okay. And then I just added some little stars. Let me cover up my Versamark. And we'll open both the Just Jade and Petunia Pop, and we'll add some stars to it. So that is also a stamp in this set. It's just like a single tiny little stamp right here. Okay, so let's start with the Petunia Pop first. Okay, and then I'm going to add some Just Jade ones. I have to be careful because if I press too hard, it makes my star look a little bit squished. So I have to resist the temptation to press hard with this stamp. I'm going to put one more in here. And I think that's good. So I'm going to leave that star out. I think I use it on another section. Okay. Yes, I did use it. Okay, so let's put these away for now. All right, and I'm going to mount this on top of this color, I think, Petunia Pop this time. What do you think? I think that looks good. I think I like that. Okay. Just going to center that, and because I used glue, that lets me just adjust it because I didn't put it down quite centered. Okay, good. All right. We have a little bit more stamping to do. So this one I stamped in early Expresso and Pecan Pie, and then I stamped off and added cookies around that central cookie. Okay, so let me just put this on here. Actually, I did, I just realized this one I had used for, with adhesive backing. I didn't even realize that was on there. Whoops. Okay. I'm looking for some more scrap paper. Let me just see. All right. Because I'm going to need that for the edging of my cookie. So let's get my cookie out. Okay, and we're going to put the central cookie, I think I'll put it a little bit farther up this time. Oh, that looks good. Okay, and we'll, actually, you know what, since I have this out, I'm going to do the Pecan Pie color before I move on. First we'll fill, actually no, we'll just do the outsides, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp off, okay, so that it's not full strength when it comes out on the paper. All right, so you get a lighter color of Pecan Pie. Sort of creating your own background this way, right? There. Okay. I'm going to keep that Pecan Pie out so I can fill in the center of my cookie. Okay, this one I'm going to want to do full strength to give it focus. Oh, good morning, Kathy. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, so this one's full strength. I hope I don't get my head in the way while I'm trying to center this. Please pardon it if it is in the way. I find it, I need to be right over top to really see properly, almost, to line everything up. Oh, you know what? I think I must have stamped that off too, because it's darker than I expected. But that's not a big deal. And then we'll add some little stars in Petunia Pop. And again, I have to resist pressing hard because this little star will look squashed if I put too much pressure on. Okay, I think that's all I need. All right. So that one is done. And let's mount this as well. Oh, hi, Shali. Oh, I'm just catching up on all the, I took a second there to catch up on all the comments. This set is called Nothing's Better Than, Shali. Okay. All right, one last one to go, and we're gonna do the same thing with the chocolate. We're gonna stamp in early espresso and then stamp off to get the lighter pecan pie inside. Okay, so let's take this off and exchange it for the chocolates. Okay, so let's ink this up. And I'm going to exchange that for the insides of the chocolates. Bring out the pecan pie now. Okay, so again, I'm going to stamp off first before I put it in the center of the chocolate, because I found that it was quite dark in the cookies. So we'll just use the stamped off version to give a lighter shade. Oh, that's different. It is, this one looks darker and that one looks much lighter. But you know what? It doesn't matter. It's whatever. It doesn't have to be exactly the same. I could probably stamp it again if I wanted to, but I'm going to leave it that lighter color. And I'm going to bring the outline of the chocolates back so I can create a little background using pecan pie. Okay, for sure this time I have to stamp off so I can get a lighter version. And you have to make sure you stamp off evenly as well, because you don't want to get darker sections appearing in your stamped off image. And I'm just kind of rotating it and putting it in different spots. There. All right, and I decorated with stars on this, but in early espresso this time. Oh, I need the early espresso. I like this star. I think it's really cute. But like I said, you have to be careful not to get overzealous and like press hard on it, because it looks too fat when it's pressed hard. Oh, I think it's so cute. Okay. Shali says it's milkier chocolate than dark chocolate. Good thinking. I like that. All right. So now we can mount this last one and then we'll get to the letters. All right, so that is done. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the letters next. I'm going to get my cut and emboss machine, because I have to cut the words coffee, cookies, and chocolate. I already cut them in the colors that I wanted. Okay, so these are going to be kind of like a shadow for the dark chocolate words, the early espresso. And so I need to just die cut the chocolate color. Just a second. Okay. Let me bring over my cut and emboss machine. Here we go. And I've got early espresso paper. And here's all the dyes. So chocolate, coffee, and cookies. Oh, I could probably fit this all on one. Okay, let's do it all on one. And let me just get my take your pick tool so I can poke out all those die cuts. I really like cutting die cut words. I think they look so cool. Oh, the C is caught. It's like hooked around the part that was cut. Oops. Reality crafting. See, this doesn't happen when I'm not doing this on camera, but there we go. Kathy, I don't have instructions posted in a blog or anything, but I always post my measurements and all the products and the colors in the video description, and hopefully you'll just be able to follow along with the video to recreate the card if you want to. Okay, just poking these out. There we go. Okay, one more to go. I'll put these aside. And I'm just going to use glue. I know that this is probably tricky for some people, but I like using glue for this instead of the adhesive sheets like that you can pre-apply, because I find that with the adhesives on the entire back of this, I somehow end up with like some part of the word touching something else that I don't want it to touch, and then it's stuck. Whereas with glue, I have a little bit of leeway and time to play before it dries on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, let's take coffee first. Okay, so like I said, I have a little bit of a shadow effect there. And I'm just going to use little tiny dots of glue to adhere this. And just keeping in mind that, you know, the lower left side is going to be the part that's visible, right? So I'm just going to put little dots of glue. And you really don't need tons. It's going to stay stuck on without tons of glue. Okay, so I'm just putting it on the inside right of the letter. Okay, so here, and you're going to need a pair of tweezers to help you apply it. I do so much with my tweezers, and they're just like, they're nothing special, they're just eyebrow or eyelash tweezers. Not eyebrow, eyelash tweezers. Because it makes it so much easier to handle small objects like this and to get my fingers out of the way when I want to look at something and hold whatever it is I'm looking at kind of in the spot that I want it in. Okay, so tiny little dots of glue. Here's the word coffee, and I'm just going to position it just slightly off. Okay, so this is where it comes in handy using glue, because if I had to touch this already on and that's not where I wanted it, well, then that would be game over. That would be where it's going to stay. So there. Do you see how there's like a little shadow effect now? I didn't put it directly on top, right? And so you get a little shadow effect. And I like doing this on my silicone mat because it's easy to clean up the glue afterwards. Okay, so let's do the same thing with chocolate. So I used the color behind the early Expresso letters just to kind of tie it in with the rest of the card and give it a little bit of depth, right? So again, I'm staying on the right sides of the letters. Try not to use too much glue and just using little dots and little lines, depending on how full your glue is. It may or may not be easy to control it. Takes a little practice sometimes, but like I said, you don't have to use a lot of glue. It really doesn't need a lot for it to stay on. And you don't have to cover every surface. Just in kind of key spots where it might lift up. Just trying to put a tiny smidgen of glue there. Oh, maybe along the bottom here. Okay, so some of my glue is drying because this was a bigger word. It had time to dry. I'm sure it's still tacky though. Okay, so let's start on this side with the C. And I do find with these longer words that they can kind of stretch out because the paper can give a bit, so I have to sometimes squish it back in a little bit. Okay. There. I think that's good. There. All right, one more to go. Oops. I just wish that this set had a happy birthday on it somewhere, but I stole the happy birthday from a different set and put that inside, and I think it still works. Because who doesn't want to indulge on their birthday, right? All right, here we go. Last one. So I'm going to line up the C first. I'm keeping the other letters just kind of lifted on an angle so that they don't touch before I'm ready. Okay. I think that looks pretty good. So just a little shadow. Oh, yeah, you are so right, Shali. It's so true. I think there was a set, it was a Christmas set, a die cut, dies that had like a whole bunch of Christmas trees, and there was this bow in that set, and it was kind of in the middle of nowhere. I don't think it, I don't know, it didn't really go with that set as far as I was concerned, but I really wanted that bow, but I didn't want to buy the whole die set just to get the bow. So I never did get it, but that is exactly it. They want you to buy more stuff. Okay, so let's go ahead and adhere this whole thing together. Where's my card? Okay, so you want to line everything up so that the circles will cover each other. That means this is going to sit higher, and it's only going to be adhered right there. And then this is going to, I think chocolate was my last one, so I'll put that there. But you need to make sure that everything is going to line up properly. But I'm going to use my front one to guide me because it has the least amount of coverage or attachment area for the bottom of the circle. So I can't really put it up there because it would not adhere properly. So I'm going to use this as my guide because I think I can get away with this, and then I will line everything else up according to that. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I am actually going to just, I'm putting my fingers here to kind of guide me. I'm going to put the glue on the cardstock back because I don't know exactly what angle the rest of it is, but I have my fingers here to kind of guide me, and I'm not going to put glue right to the edge, so I just kind of guess approximately where it's going to go. Okay, because it's a fairly big circle, and then you can kind of put it back on top and you know, figure out if you've got it right. I think I'm going to put a tiny bit more glue a little farther out, and I think that should be good. So I'm just trying to make sure it's centered left and right. I think I'm good. So I'm looking at this distance. I think that's about center. Okay. So that way I don't have to try and mess around with this showing, the glue showing through. All right, so now let's take this one and we will put it right behind here, right? Yeah. Okay, so what I'm gonna actually do, I think I have that straight. Let me see if I get that straight. I think that looks straight, right? So I'm lining it up. Okay, I'm going to turn this a bit. So that looks straight, and then I'm going to make sure this is lined up together. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold this like a sandwich. And keeping that in place, I'm going to put my glue on. I'm going to fold this closed on top. And now that is lined up. Okay, and the last one is easy. We're just going to line it up from behind. Okay. There. So now all of them line up together, and I can just adhere my my coffee on top. Oops. So I think the most time-consuming part is probably these letters. If you were just doing straight stamping or adhering single layer die cuts, this would be faster. But I wanted the 3D effect with my letters, so that's where I think my time went to. Okay, let's pick this up. I'm just going to put it straight on top here. And I'm using my grid lines to kind of guide me. There we go. There's one. Let's do the cookies next. And actually, if you use the adhesive on the back of the colored letters, you could just now peel off the backing and just stick these down. There we go. I think that'll keep it in place. Okay. Cookies. And lastly, chocolate. like I said, you don't need to have glue everywhere. Just a few dots here and there. Like I don't try to do like, I don't have to do the tops, I think. It's just here and there. This one has a nice bigger spot to put glue on, but you don't need to fully cover the back for it to stay put. Okay. And chocolate. All right, so that is the majority of the card. I just pulled my happy birthday from another stamp set. I believe Phrases for All, something like that. I will put that in the video description, but I think that's where you can just pull from your own stash to put a happy birthday. So this one is the original where I had a full card. And this one is a modification where I didn't put a full card. I just put the mat on, and then you can add your happy birthday on the back. You can add another sheet if you want to do the writing off to the side first instead of trying to write on a bumpy background. Yeah, so that just gives you another option there. So that is the card today. So this zigzag card really wasn't really hard to make. It's just choosing the papers you want and cutting them to the right sizes, and then you just go from there and be creative and decorate. So I hope you are inspired to make something like this with your stash and have fun with it. Okay, have a great week everybody, and I will see you next week. Bye.